Good evening. Welcome to the webinar series organized by the Ethugalpura Pioneers District Rover crew. Emotional well-being is just as important to us as breathing is. So let's move for today's webinar on counseling skills. Today we are presenting our guest speaker, Mr. Ranil Thilakarathne, advocate for psychosocial issues, manager CCC line 1333, a crisis support service to support mental well-being and suicide prevention in Sri Lanka. Now, without further delay, we will turn the time over to Mr. Ranil Thilakarathne. Just a little reminder before we get started, if you have any questions, please use the Slido link provided in the chat to post your questions. We will bring them up at the end of the presentation and we'll also have time for questions at the end. And also, we provide an e-certificate to all the participants. So please fill that Google form provided in the chat during the webinar in order to confirm your participation. Time is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank Scouts of Ethugalpura for giving me and inviting me for this session. Thank you for the introduction. Actually, I'm a part of an organization called the CCC Foundation. Right? We are a voluntary charity organization, and we are based in Sri Lanka, Colombo, and we have two projects under CCC Foundation. One is with the cancer hospital, which is Apeksha Hospital in Maharagama, and the other one is regarding mental health. So I look after the mental health area of the foundation. Okay. So what we're going to talk today is a very timely and a very important topic. Right? Unfortunately, it's a topic that is not being talked much about, and it's a topic that is not discussed about because it's not a sexy topic to talk about. It's not an in topic to talk about or a famous topic, but it's an important topic. Because mental health is very important. We talk about physical health, we talk about gyms, we talk about exercises, we talk about a lot of things when it comes to our physical health. But have you seen a gym for your mental health? Have you seen a workout session for your mental health? There are so many apps on the App Store, on Apple or Play Store, where you can get for your physical exercises, but nothing for mental health, or at least very less for mental health, right? Because people do not talk much about mental health, even though it is very important. But you all have decided to talk about mental health, and that is very important. Okay? That is very, very important that you all are talking about mental health and talking about counseling and talking about suicide prevention and all that. It's very important. So what I'm supposed to talk about is counseling, right? So what we are going to do is we're going to go do a brief introduction and a brief run through what we can do to help someone in distress. That's what counseling is. Right? That is what counseling is. Counseling is to support someone who's going through some kind of mental problem. Now, we are not talking here only about mental problems, right? We are talking here about bullying, right? We're talking about maybe even dragging or bullying, so almost the same thing. We talk about abuse. It can be sexual or physical or mental or social abuse. It can be addiction. It can be, when we talk about addiction also, we think about drugs and alcohol, but we also have gambling, and we also have digital addiction, which is very prevalent today. Sorry. So we are going to, what we're going to do is, we are going to see how we can support someone who's going through a problem like this until we get professional help. Okay, until we get professional help. Now, if there is somebody who's self-harming, or if there's somebody who has suicidal thoughts, we might be a little afraid, or if somebody is being abused at home or at work or at school, right? We might be afraid to approach that person thinking that, hey, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a qualified person, right? But what I'm going to teach you today is a word you all used in the presentation, is first aid. I'm going to teach you all about mental first aid. What you can do for a person who's going through some kind of trauma, a problem, maybe even anxiety, how you can be there for that person until you get professional help. Okay. So again, a little bit to run through our organization. I said our organization CCC Foundation, and under that we have 1333 CCC Line, and another program called Let's Talk. Right? CCC Line is a telephone crisis support service. Okay, we are available in 3 languages. Right, it's toll free. It's 24/7, and it's a place where we encourage people to talk, right? People to call us and share their problems. We generally get about 400 to 500 calls per day, right? And out of which there are about 100 to 110, 120 counseling calls. Okay? In Sri Lanka today, there are 10 to 12 suicides per day. There are 10 to 12 suicides per day in Sri Lanka. These are the ones that are reported. There are many that are not reported. There are many suicides that don't go reported. There is a reason. Now, remember, I spoke about physical health, mental health, how physical health, you have gyms, you have apps, people talk about it, people are putting on Facebook, this is my schedule, this is how much I lost, all that. But when it comes to mental health, nobody talks about it. Why? Why doesn't anybody talk about mental health? It's because the stigma attached with mental health. Because we don't talk about mental health, there's a huge stigma that is attached. So if we go and tell somebody, I'm going through a problem, I feel really messed up, I can't take it anymore. What do they say? You're a madman, you're sick. Right? That's a label you get. But if I say, I like ice cream, I like cake, I like to go to the gym, you're not a pisser. You're a normal person. But if you go and talk about your mental health, you're a pisser, you're a mad person. Okay? So because of that, people don't talk about their mental issues. They don't talk about their problems. And that is why we believe that the suicide rate in Sri Lanka is very high. In 2019, the suicide rate in Sri Lanka was 3,135. Over 70% of that, 75% of that were male suicide. That is because we don't talk about our problems. So that is why services like 1333, Sumit Priyo, Shanti Margam, the National Institute of Mental Health Hotline, Damri, there are different organizations that are there to help. But people approach those organizations very secretively. Now, at CCC at 1333, we don't take their name, we don't ask their address, we don't take any personal details. So they call us because they don't want to be identified. And they call us and they tell their problems. Right? So what I'm going to talk to you today is a very simple thing. Right? I'm going to tell you about, let's talk. Api katha karamu. Simple. Right? This is this is another program we have introduced through CCC Live, through 1333, called Let's Talk, right? Where we are educating people to get help and to support people. Okay? One of the fundamental bedrocks about counseling is that you need to be able to listen. You need to be able to listen without judging. You need to be able to listen to someone, what they're saying, without judging them. That is the main thing about counseling. If you can't do that, then forget about counseling, but then you can't even support someone. Because that's very important. I'm going to share a few fundamental basics about counseling. Right, I'm going to stop sharing. And share the slide. Okay. Before we go into anything else, if I want to take notes, you can take notes. Right? These are a few fundamental things about counseling. Right? I don't know if you all have heard. There's a very famous method in counseling called person-centered therapy. Person-centered therapy. The author of that is a person by Carl Rogers. You all can go on the internet and read about him. His name is Carl Rogers. Right? So that is the model that we use in counseling. It's called person-centered therapy. We center our counseling is centered on that person, and we try to get the solution from that person. When somebody talks to you, when somebody comes and says, "Hey, I have a problem," right? Right now, there are a few things we do. Number one, we will listen to about 5 minutes of that problem. And then we start telling them what to do. Or telling them, don't take notice. That is those things come and go. No, man, I had the same problem and I did this. Because we are listening not to hear. When somebody talks to us, we are listening not to hear that person. We are listening to answer that person. Okay? අපි අහුම්කම් දෙන්නේ ඒ කෙනා කියන දේ අහන්න නෙමෙයි ඒ කෙනාට පිළිතුරු දෙන්න. Very important. තාමත් වැදගත්. If you don't take anything out of today's lesson, take that. You listen to somebody to hear what they are saying. What is this person trying to tell you? Okay. So as a counselor, there are 3 things we need to have, basic things. I'm not talking about professional counselor, I'm talking about basic things. Number 1 is empathy. You need to have empathy. Okay. What is empathy? Empathy is understanding, not feeling sorry. Ane pao, ayyo, what happened? No. Understanding that person. The deeper meaning of empathy is getting into the other person's shoes by removing your shoes. Right? We can't get into another person's shoes without removing our shoes. We first have to remove our attitudes, our thought, our beliefs, our assumptions. Right? That's the shoe we are wearing. Our education, maybe I am older than that person, or maybe I'm more educated, or maybe I come from a better class, a better race, a better better school, different things where we make ourselves go up. So we have to remove our shoes and get into that person's shoes. Understand that person. Empathy. Non-judgmental listening. Vinishya nokara empathy sanukampawa. Vinishya nokara ahukandu. Non-judgmental thinking. Sorry, when somebody comes and talks to us, we should not judge that person. We should not judge that person. Okay, not just a minute, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Non-judgmental listening is we listen to that person without judging them. Whatever they are saying. They might talk about being gay, right? They might talk about taking drugs. They might talk about being abused or being raped. They might talk about being self-harming themselves. They might talk about doing something, but we listen to them without judging them. Very difficult. But that is a characteristic of counseling. Okay? Unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard is accepting the help seeker completely in a non-judgmental way. Whatever they are, like I said, whatever their weaknesses, whatever their problems, right? We will not focus on their weakness, but we will focus on their positiveness and their strengths. So one is to have empathy. Number two is to be non-judgmental and to listen, right? And number three is unconditional positive. These three are very important. And here are some of the skills you need to have. Is that you need to listen. Now in all of this, you will see the key word here is listening. Right? The key word is listening. Right? Active listening. The summary of active listening is responding to that person when they're talking, not just spacing out. Somebody's talking, I'm like, actively listening to that person. Okay. Challenging is not the way we challenge, but respectively highlighting inconsistencies, if there are any inconsistencies. Because see, the person who's talking to you, you need to remember, is talking with a lot of problems, a lot of things in their head. Sometimes they will try to tell you everything together, but we need to try to see what the main problem is. So by telling them, okay, you told me this, but now you're telling me this. So which one is it? Then they also can get a clear picture. See, when someone comes to talks to you, basically what they're doing is blowing a balloon, right? Because they are talking about their problem, and their problem is being put out. And what happens when you blow a balloon? It becomes small and it becomes big. And then you can take the balloon to your hand and you see the balloon. Now you see because you have spoken it out, you have spoken about it. Now you can take it out and look at it. So then you see what the real problem is. Right? Close questions. You can take a screenshot of this, and there's no problem. Okay. right? Grounding, open questions, paraphrasing, reflecting of feelings, reflecting of the meaning, right? Reframing and summarizing. This is some of the basic steps of counseling or of helping someone, not counseling, but of listening to someone, right? Closed question. There was a short answer question, right? You all know what a closed question is, I'm sure. Grounding is always being in the present, right? Someone who has a problem will most of the time talk about the past. So always try to bring that person to the present, that moment, this time. Open questions, right? Invites the help seeker or the person who's talking to you to open more freely. Paraphrasing, this is very important, is to reflect, right? Is to reflect what the person is saying. Because when you reflect, okay, the person realizes that you are actually listening to them. You are not just blank, right? Reflecting their feeling and the meaning of what they're saying. Right? Someone says, I had a fight with my friend and I'm very angry. You say, okay, so you're angry, right? The feeling. Then sometimes they might say, oh no, I'm not angry, I'm just a little upset. Because they're it's like an echo. They are rehearing what they're saying. So if what they're saying is wrong, then they can take a step back and tell the actual feeling. Reframe. Reframing is what we say, what that person told us, we put it in a little different way, in a different perspective. Then that person, if we are saying something wrong, or if what can happen is that by reframing is the person can see a different viewpoint or a different perspective to the problem or to what they share, and summarize. Okay. So these are few steps that we can do to support someone. Right? There's a few steps in the person-centered therapy in Carl Rogers's model. So coming back to let's talk. So as you can see, we have put a meaning to everything. Let's talk. Let's is letting everyone talk safely. Right? 10th of September is World Suicide Prevention Day. We are doing some programs, and our theme is letting everyone talk safely. That's the main thing. That is what we need to do. Wherever we are, whatever we do, even in your scout group, we need to have something called psychological safety. Psychological safety is like physical safety. Physical safety is when you're doing something, you wear a helmet, you wear gloves. Right? When you're going on a hike, you take water, you take a rope, you take a knife, you take your walking stick, you have a backpack. That is all the things you need to take you through the hike. That's all the things you need to keep you safe physically. But we also need to create psychological safety. Psychological safety is a person feeling safe to come and talk or share what they are feeling, so that they won't be judged, that they won't be ridiculed, that they won't be put down. That is psychological safety. So letting everyone talk safely is that. Then talk, right? Is tell, acknowledge, listen, and keep in touch. Tell is seeing the telltale signs. Acknowledging is acknowledging that when that person talks to you, right? And listening is attentive listening, okay? And keeping in touch with that person. So normally how things happen is, okay, if a person is going through distress, they have to go and meet a counselor, which is a big step. They meet a counselor, then they might meet a psychologist and a psychiatrist, or however, whichever order that is. So most people are scared to go and meet a counselor. Most of our friends, even I, would be scared to go and meet a counselor. Right? That is where the Let's Talk program comes in. That is where you come in. The person who bridges the gap between the distressed person, the person who's having the problem, and the counselor. First aid, right? Like the person who's injured and the doctor or the hospital. What do you do in between? You give first aid, keeping that person safe until they reach the proper or get the proper attention. That is what we do. Sorry. So, like I said, helping everyone to talk safely, letting everyone talk safely. Tell is when there is a concern and ask if help is needed. Now, we are always going to be in a circle. As humans, we are relationship oriented people, right? We need attention. That is the nature of the human. So what we are talking of helping our inner circle. We are not talking about helping anyone else. We're talking about helping our family members, right? Our closest friends, our best friends, our friends, right? And our people who we meet daily. Maybe in classes, maybe at office, maybe while we are traveling in the bus or in the train, or maybe the vendor who comes to our house, or the Dalali uncle, right, who's in the shop. These are the outer circle. So it's them, it's up to them, it's up to that level that we can support. Not the stranger on the road. Not the stranger on the road. Because we also need to know our boundaries. So our circle, inner circle, we need to know, okay, our friends are there. We always hang out together. We go to lunch together. We go to class together. We sit and chat together. And suddenly you see a difference in a friend. This person is normally very outspoken, or normally is very bubbly. Normally, though they are quiet, they are very smartly dressed, very caring. There are different characters. In our friend circle, there are different characters. There is one of everyone. Otherwise, there is no fun in there. So you see a difference in your friend. Okay? So remember, you're not going to judge them. You're not going to, put a label on them. You're going to be non-judgmental and you're going to be respectful. So before we start this process, you need to remember something. It's like a tagline I used to use every time. Tamange tirane tamange kelawa. Your decision is your destiny. It's for me and for everybody else. So the person who was talking to you, or the person who you're talking to, the final decision is in their hand. Right? You are not responsible. You are not responsible. As a human being, as a friend, you are trying to help. But the final decision of that person is in their hand, not in your hand. That is why we are not advising. That is why, as in counseling, we don't advise. We will call ourselves crisis supporters, not counselors. Like firefighters or emergency workers, we can call ourselves crisis supporters. Someone is in a crisis and we're supporting. So as a crisis supporter, we won't advise them. Okay? We don't advise. We don't guide them. We just listen to them and we help them to bring their own solution and to understand their own solution. See, a person with a problem is like, okay, if we were, face to face, we could have done this better. Keep your right hand near your face like this. Everybody, a practical thing. Keep your right hand near your face. What do you see? You see nothing. You see a blurred object in front of you. It's not clear. But to take it 1 foot away from you. Then you see what? You see your hand. You see the marks on your hand. You see the color of your hand. So personally, the problem is like that. When they are in the problem, when they are in that situation, they are like this. They can't see anything. So they try to make harsh decisions, things that they seem at that moment that are right. So our thing is to bring them from here to here. Right? And taking them beyond that is a counselor's or professional's responsibility. Right? So in your group, okay, you will see a change, you will see a difference sometimes in your friends. Ask them, are they okay? Don't wait till they come to you, because it might be too late. Because remember, I told you, some people will not come to you because of the stigma, because of feeling shy or ashamed or being judged. So if you see somebody, ask them, hey, normally you're different today. You're acting different for the past 2-3 days. Are you okay? They might say no. They might say, no, I'm not okay. Then you can say, look, that's fine. But if you need someone to talk to, I am there. And I'm here to listen to you. Very important thing to say. I am here to listen to you. We are not judging. We are not going to guide that person or advise that person. We're just there to support that person. Maybe the first time or the second time, they might not open. But later on, they will. Or they might say, no, it's a small problem. But at least that person knows that, hey, I have a friend, a real friend. And if that person talks to and say, yes, I have a problem. One thing that is very important, physically, right? Most of our things are verbal. Physically, if your friend is seated, sit down. Don't stand and talk. Come to the same eye level. Right? Come to the same eye level of that person. Okay? Always come in front and talk to them. Right? And avoid skin touch. What I mean by that is, you can tap them on the shoulder, give them a slight gentle tap on the shoulder, on the knee if they're seated. If the two of you are seated. But if that person is wearing a short sleeve or arm cut, or if a pair of shorts or a short dress, don't touch the knee. Don't let there be skin, because it can scare them. That's why I said come in front. If they're seated, sit down, eye contact, and a tap. But where the shirt is, right? Because if that person is going through physical abuse, your touching can give them a shock. Right? You touching them can give them bring fear, and that person is anyway not going to. Okay? So you see the difference. You see somebody in distress, and you know, and this person opens up. Right? A few things. You need to build that trust. Maybe it's your good friend, right? Never promise that person that you are not going to share that with anyone. They might say, that person might say, look, I don't want to tell anyone. You can say, okay, let's see what you have to say. And if we need help, let's get help. Otherwise, it's fine. Don't promise that person that you will keep it a secret. What if that person is being abused at home? What if that person is suicidal? What if that person is harming themselves? You need to get help, or you need to go to the authorities. So don't promise, and no, I won't tell you. Don't say that. Right? Don't say that I understand your problem when they start opening. Sometimes you might have gone through the same problem. But always remember, okay, nobody is in the same boat. We say no, we are all in the same boat. COVID is happening, we are all in the same boat. No, we are not. Right? I can prove it. We are not in the same boat. My situation as a businessman is very much different to a student's situation, to a teacher's situation, to a doctor's situation. We might be in different boats, but yes, we are in the same storm. COVID is the storm. It's hit us all. Right? Our business is very low. Right? Yes, but I'm in my boat, you're in your boat, facing the same storm. So the problems we have, the situations we have are different. If it's, for example, if somebody lost their father, and okay, I also have lost my father, but the way they grieve can be different. So you can't tell somebody that you understand. Somebody might have broken off with an affair, you might have broken off with an affair. It's different. Right? You can't say you understand. Number one. Number two is don't make their story your story. Don't take their problem on your head. Keep that distance. You're talking and helping that person. You're not going to take that problem on your head. Don't do that. Because then who's going to help the two of you? You're going through this problem. What are we going to do, Ani? No. Keep the distance. You're there. I am here. You're in a problem. I am not. But I am not going to judge you. I am here to help. That attitude needs to be there. Don't say you understand. Listen respectfully. Don't judge that person. Don't make their story your story. Keep the distance, not physically, but in your mental, in your head. Keep the distance. Right? And don't start sharing your stories. I also went through the same thing, man. Yes, when my boyfriend or when my girlfriend left me, or when my mother died or father died, or when I fell or failed or whatever, I went through the same. No. That person is talking to you not to listen to your problem. That person is talking to you for them to share their problem. Listen to hear, not to answer or advise. People are fed up of getting advice. So when you see someone having a problem, talk to them, ask them respectfully. And when they start opening up, always appreciate that. Acknowledge that. Thank you for sharing. You're very, very brave to share. This is amazing. I never knew you were going through this. I just can't understand what you might be going through. You can say that. You can say you can't understand. That person will feel appreciated. That person will know that you're not, just there to make fun of them or just acting it out. Right? You can say, I can't. I would never understand it. You're very strong. Right? You can, acknowledge key points. And at this moment, when that person starts opening about their problem, when they start talking about their problem, you can also ask them, because some people go through problems, some people go through bad situations, they might feel that they want to end their life. Are you feeling suicidal? They might say, oh, no, I'm not thinking of that. But they might say, yeah, I am. Then don't get scared, don't panic. Just ask them, okay, when was the last time you thought of it? They say it was a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Then there is a gap. What if they say a week ago, I'm thinking of it now, then their risk level is high. Then you need to get professional help. Don't run and say, no, come. If you're suicidal, we need to go. You can't. No. Then you need to ask that person for permission to get help. But you need to tell that person, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there with you. I will help you. But let's get help. Very important. Remember, you are not responsible for that person's life. You are just there to help. Listen to them. Keep listening to them. Throughout this whole process, keep listening to them. Let them bring their concerns. Let them bring their problems out. And after that, always keep in touch with them. What I say by keep in touch is get help. Get help. Get someone professional or talk to 1333. It's a free call, right? Confidential, talk to them. Talk to any of the services. But when you are getting help, you need to ask your friends permission. For example, if that person is having a problem at home, if that person is being abused by their father or by their mother, or by their brother or by an uncle or whatever, physically or sexually or mentally, you can't tell them, shall you go and talk to your mother or your father? Because the problem is with them. You need to ask them, okay, I think we need to get help. And I'll be there for you. I will keep, we keep in touch. I'll be there for you. Whom do you think we can talk? And sometimes that person might not have idea. Then you ask them, can we get professional help? Shall we see a doctor? Can we call someone? Can we call a helpline to get you help? Very important. Just to check on time, how are we doing on time? Hasini, how are we doing on time?
Yes, sir.
How long do I have?
7:15, 7:33.
Okay, right. Good. That's good. We are on schedule. Okay. So, right. Remember, you are this person who is going to be between the person in distress and the counselor. Right? You are there to listen, to acknowledge, to see the telltale signs, to make the connection with that person, acknowledge that person, listen to that person, and keep in touch. Sometimes the things we are talking about, sometimes the things some sharing might be sensitive to you. You might feel scared. You might remember something. You might get upset. If that is the case, please get help. Please talk to someone. Okay, please talk to someone. Right? I'm going to stop sharing. So we spoke about the importance of mental health. We spoke about how to help someone who's in distress. We're going to talk about a little bit of self-care, caring about yourself. Now we talk about caring for someone else now, right? But now we need to take care of ourselves also. This word self-care is now a bit of a buzzword. But some people think that having self-care or doing self-care is selfish. It's not. Doing self-care is not selfish. Right? Taking time for yourself. It's not being selfish. Right? Stay hydrated. It's one way of taking care of yourself. Right? Take time for yourself. Do things you like, not always what others want you to do. Do things you like. Okay. Have time for your hobbies. Have time for a me time. Always. Always. However busy I am, I always set apart time for myself. Either I spend time with my fish tanks or with the dog, or I take a book, or I watch a movie. Always. Sometimes I think that 24 hours is not enough. But I always take time for myself. Not my wife, not my son, not my business, nothing. Only me. Right? Put your health first. Okay? Physically and mentally. Go outside. Especially if you're in Colombo and if you're living in apartments with these lockdowns, go outside. Because COVID has changed a lot in our lives. Unfortunately, COVID has changed a lot. Nobody was ready for COVID. Forget about Sri Lanka, Japan, Singapore, US, none of those countries were ready for COVID. It took us all by surprise. But how are we dealing with it is important. So go outside, go into your garden. If you're living in an apartment or in a flat, go outside, a little bit outside, but stay safe. Right? Fueling your body. Watch what you eat. What you're putting in. I'm not against eating burgers and pizza and all, but watch what you eat. Being genuine, being a genuine person. Practicing forgiveness. Very important. Right? Acknowledging your feelings. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling stressed, acknowledge it. One thing I do to relax is, we sigh. Susum Helena. We say, right? We do, right? Have you ever seen, these huge containers, buses, when they come and stop, suddenly, as if there was a patch. Right? That's releasing pressure. Same way, our body automatically releases pressure. That is what sighing is. Releasing pressure. So why not do that artificially? It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. So what you can do, what we all can do now, let's do it together. Right? Come. Okay, I'll show you how to do it. Breathe from your mouth. Sorry, from your nose. Breathe loud, breathe deep. And while breathing, raise your shoulders. Right? Keep your hands to the side. Okay, and raise your shoulders. Okay, so like that. And when I say let go with your mouth, through your mouth. And while you're letting go, let go of your shoulders and bend forward. If you have a problem with your shoulders or with your back, be careful. Right? So you go and ready? Okay, let's do it together. 1, 2, 3, breathe out. Let go. Again, Breathe up. Let go. Letting go, you do it fast, not slowly. Like that. Right, again, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you might feel a little dizzy. Okay, that is because taking a deep breath, taking breaths that you normally don't take, and releasing at once. Releasing every negative force, everything negative, everything that is holding you back, you are releasing. That's something I do. Another thing you can do is when you're having a bath, right? You know, the back of your neck, right? You can, hold your hair and let the water hit the back of your neck. Right? Let the water hit the back of your neck. Very relaxed. We always tell people, talk about your problem. But we need to be there to listen. How do we listen? Without judging, right? Without seeing that person's level. We will, with empathy, we will listen to that person. That is how we listen. I know COVID has been a huge surprise for all of us. Nobody, like I said, nobody was ready for COVID. Some of our plans for our future is no more there. Our friendships, because we don't meet our friends, is difficult. Because whatever said and done, it's nothing like meeting your friend physically. Meeting with them, having a chat with them. When COVID happened, everybody was saying social distancing. Everybody has social distance. We said no, don't social distance. Stop that. It's wrong. Don't social distance. Socially get close, but physically keep your distance. Physically keep your distance. 1 meter, 2 meter, 100 meters even, never mind. Keep your distance. But socially, stay together. Call your friends. Send a message. Send a text. Right? Call a relative. True, you can't go and see your grandparents, your aunties, uncles, your friends. Give them a call. See how they are. See how surprised they will be. How appreciative they will be. You'll be surprised. Just send a message. Send a WhatsApp message. Or, I don't know, whatever you guys are using. Just send a message and see how are you? What are you up to? Are you okay? Ask them. There's nothing wrong in asking. Is there? Sometimes we had hopes about our what we're going to do in the future. Okay, my plans are finish your university work, come into university, get registered, do all this work, start your university work, right? But maybe those things have gone back. A problem my son is having is he was under 11, right? And now he's under 30. He has lost 2 years in sports, basketball. Right? They have online classes and all that, but it's nothing like meeting your friends and playing together. So it's very, very important to be in touch. Talk to your friends. Okay? And if somebody talks to you, always respect them. Don't put them aside. Be available. Be ready to listen. Don't judge. Because there are enough of places. That is why people are so desperate today in Sri Lanka. But it is very important for you to grow. It's very important for you to grow. And if you're going through a bad time, if you're going through a hard time, talk to someone. It's okay to talk to someone. Sometimes we talk to everybody, we look at everybody's needs. There's a picture I would like to share with you all. It's a very meaningful picture. You always go out and try to help people. That is what everybody teaches. Even as a scout, what are you teach taught? To help people. It's good. It's amazing what you guys do as scouts. And I have a lot of friends who are resident scouts, Rover scouts. And it's amazing. Okay? But always have time for yourself. Always keep for yourself. That is not being selfish, that is not being stingy. But always keep for yourself. Okay? Before I end, I want to share a story. So I'll just summarize, right? So remember, right? When some of the attributes, 3 attributes we need to have in our lives is have empathy, right? Non-judgmental listening. Don't judge anyone. Be open-mindedly, we listen to them. Unconditional positive regard. We accept that person, whoever they are. We don't remember. These are the 3 attributes. But before that, remember, we keep our distance mentally. Their story is their story. My story is my story. Don't make their story my story. Right? And in the conversation, don't share your story to them. Because they are here to talk about their problem, not your problem. Don't say you understand, because you can't. Don't say you went through the same thing. Maybe you went through the same thing. True, we are in the storm together, but our boats are different. Our backgrounds are different. Something I face today, I might face it different to the way you are facing, because I'm much older than you. I have much more experience. I might do something, which you all know better, because you all have learned something more than me. Even though I'm older than you all, even though I have more experience, even though I, with all everything I have, you can't tell somebody you understand. So empathy, non-judgmental listening, unconditional positive regard. Then some skills, micro skills we need to have is active listening. Listen to that person actively, right? Challenging, close questions, grounding, open questions, paraphrasing, reflecting of feelings, reflecting of meanings, reframing, and summarizing. This is just an outline. Don't need to think too much about it, but the first 3 needs to be inculcated into you, needs to be put into your heart. Okay? And then we spoke about, let's talk. Creating an environment where everyone can talk, letting everyone talk safely. Right? Psychological safety. Then talk is TALK. Tell, acknowledge, listen, keep in touch. See the telltale signs. If you see a difference in a friend, talk to them. Right? Ask them, are they okay? Right? Don't promise them that you are not going to share their problems with anyone. You are not going to gossip about them. That's different. We are not going to gossip about our friends. Right? But with their permission, yes, we will talk and get help. To get help only. Yeah? Be respectful. Right? So you see the telltale signs and you acknowledge what they are talking about. Be respectful. right? Listen to them continuously listen to them, and always keep in touch. Make sure your friend is okay. So a little story I want to share with you. A father and a son, they finished the program and they got into their vehicle, and the father told the daughter, "Why don't you drive?" And the daughter said, "Okay." And she started driving. It was a small car, not a big. It was a normal car, right? Not a truck or a jeep or a four-wheel drive. So while driving, suddenly a storm hit. Suddenly started raining, and because it was a long drive, the daughter asked the father, "Dad, do you want to drive?" The father said, "No, it's okay, you drive." Then as they continued, the storm started getting, the rain started getting hard and turned into a storm. It was raining hard, and you couldn't see front. And then the daughter was a little scared. She said, "Dad, do you want me to stop? Do you want to take over?" The father said, "No, keep driving." And then she saw the wind was getting strong. She saw trees, falling, and she saw thunder and lightning, and it was getting very scary. It got darker and darker to a point that they had to turn their headlights on high beam, and the wipers were working very hard. She said, "Dad, I think I need to stop and you take over." The father said, "No, just keep driving." Then they suddenly saw, because it was so difficult, they saw the trucks, the containers, these huge vehicles pulling over. The 18-wheelers, the buses, the four-wheel drives, the jeeps, the pickups, all pulling over. And the father saw the fear in the daughter's face. And when she looked at him, the father said, "Keep going. Keep going." And the daughter kept on going. And she kept on driving. Not fast, sensibly, she kept on driving. And suddenly, the wind got less. The rain got slower. The thunder and the lightning stopped. And suddenly she saw, the clouds clearing and the sun shine, the rays coming out. Suddenly she felt better. She felt relaxed. And she kept going, and there was sunlight, everything cleared out, everything was fine. And then the father said, "Now stop." So she was wondering why. Now it's okay. She said, "Now stop." The father said, "Stop, pull over." So the daughter pulled over. And she said, "Why do you want to pull over now?" I said, get down from the vehicle." So they both got down. I said, "Relax a bit. You are stressed out." So she relaxed a bit. I said, "Look behind you." So the daughter looked behind, the road they came. So she still could see a little darkness far away. She still could see the light. Right? I said, "Yeah, it's still raining there." He said, "Yes." I said, "Where are the other vehicles?" She said, "They stopped in the storm." I said, "We didn't stop in the storm. We kept going in the storm. And because we kept going in the storm, we are out of the storm. But if we had stopped in the storm, still, now, in this moment, we will be in the storm. So when the storms come, don't stop. Right? Keep going. Keep going in a steady pace. Because if you stop, you're going to stop in the storm, like all those big trucks and containers and buses and jeeps. But you keep going and you will come out of the storm. And when you turn around and when you look, you will see what you have achieved. You will see what you have done. Maybe not academic, maybe you won't have a trophy or a degree, but mentally and in your life, what you have achieved as a human being. Keep going forward and keep staying focused and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your lecture was an exceptionally stimulating and informative one. We will go ahead and take some time for questions now. Before that, just a little reminder, please be sure to fill the Google form provided in the chat to confirm your participation in order to be eligible for the certificate. Over to you, Devmitra, to go ahead with the questions.
Thank you, Hasini. Before moving on to the Q&A session, just a little reminder. If you have any questions, post them in the Slido link provided in the chat box. Okay, so the first question is how to approach someone and help who is suspected to be abused. Sir? So can
That's,
you
yeah, that's a very good question. Okay, why are we suspecting that person is abused? You have to see the telltale signs, right? Are you talking about physical abuse or sexual abuse? Anyway, either way, right? How we can help again is by talking to that person. Number one, right? Respectfully talking to that person without judging, because someone who's being abused physically or sexually or mentally is going through a lot, and like I said, you won't understand what they're going through. Okay, so is to talk to them, and if that person is being physically abused, you might see signs even physically, right, around their neck, okay, their back, right? You might see signs, right? Even if you try to touch them, they stay away from you. So things like that will give you an indication. So ask them. That's the main thing. Because see, number one is when we start talking to a person, because we are not judging them, because we are listening to them, because we are there for them, we are actively listening to them, they open up slowly, slowly. It might not happen in the first 5 minutes or first 10 minutes, but as they start talking, as to repeating what they are saying slowly, right? Like summarizing, right? Not telling the whole story, but just small summaries. Then they start opening up, right? And then they will tell. And if they are being sexually abused, then there are places where they can get help from. Right? You can talk to Child Protection Authority, Women in Need, uh, Children and Women's. The police has a separate unit, Lamaha Kanta Karyansha, right? So you all can, but with permission from that person. See, what you need to understand is the person who's being abused might be being abused by someone at home, father or mother even. Right? So they might not want to talk about that, thinking that that person will get into a problem. What will happen to my mother? What will happen to my father? Or my brother? Or even my sister? So whatever you're doing, if that person opens up to you, you need to have their permission before getting help, but we need to get help. Because it might end up with a bigger problem. I hope that's okay.
Sir, the next question is also related to that one. What should we do if they refuse help? By authorities, so what should we do if they refuse help?
Refuse to go to an authority.
Yeah.
Then you need to show them the pros and cons. Right? Then you need to show them that by going, the positives, like they can get help. Even the person who's abusing can get help. If they don't want to go to the authorities, then maybe they can go to a counselor. Because they're scared, no, if they go to the authorities, there will be legal action. That is the number one fear. So best is, okay, we won't go to legal authority, we'll go to a counselor or a doctor and see how they can help. A less threatening environment.
Okay. The next question is, so let's say the person that has the problem opens up to us. What should we do if they ask for advice?
Good question. Very good question. Everybody wants advice. But ask them what they think are the best options, not one option, options, 2, 3 options, right? In that, now you know this is the best option, but always remember, I am the expert of my life now. Devmitra, you are the expert of your life. You are the one who knows. Do I know your life better, or you know your life better? You know your life better, right? So same way, the person who's in the problem knows their life best and the situation best. So always, right? You can say, okay, what kind of options do you see? Let's discuss that. Let's see what kind of options you see. Then we will see what is the best. Then they might say, okay, what do you think of that? See, always they will say, what do you think of this? It's like, when we were children, we used to go to parties and play passing the pillow. Remember, they used to play a music and we used to pass something, a ball or something, and the person who stops has to come up and dance or sing a song or something. I don't know if you guys did it, because I'm quite older than you all. We did it when we were small, right? It's like that. You are passing the ball. You are passing the pillow. As soon as that person throws the ball onto your side, take it and throw it back. Remember, their decisions. It's their life, not your life. You can make decisions for your life. That is why we tell don't advise. Right? But you're right, people always want advice. If we give advice, remember, then we are responsible for their decision. Because we know gave the advice. But if that person comes up with their own solution, their own option, right, then they are responsible for that. Yes, then.
Okay. The next question is, if I am in a suicidal mood and don't know how to reach out for help, how can I help myself?
Very good question. There are a lot of confidential services. Okay, a lot of confidential services. You have Sumitra, and let me give those numbers also. You have Sumitra, you can call them. You have 1333, which is toll free, confidential, right? They are trained crisis supporters. You can call them. You can call NIMH, which is also available, right, to help you all.
Okay, sir. The next question is how to
I'll
manage.
share. I will share the numbers. Let's go to the next question, but I'll share the numbers shortly. Yeah.
How to manage exam stress.
The $1 million question. It's $1 million question. Right. How to manage exam stress. Planning out. Right. Planning out helps you manage exam stress. Right? That is one thing you can do. See how much time you have. See how much you have covered. See how much you need to cover and plan it out. Right? It's very good to plan out your day. Okay, see what you have to do, because during this lockdown we have relaxed everything. Right? We are getting up when we want, sleeping when we want, but plan it out and get help. If you need help, get help. Right? If you need someone's help to help you in your studies, get help. But my thing is, best way to deal with exam stress is by planning it. Write it on paper. Don't just plan it on your head. Put everything in detail on paper and break it up. That's it.
Okay. Is it healthy to use humor as a coping mechanism for depression?
Sorry, I didn't get you. What? Is it healthy?
To use humor as a coping mechanism for depression.
Humor as a coping mechanism for depression. Okay, if you're having depression, or if you know someone who's having depression, it's always good to get professional help, because people with depression, anxiety live normal lives. Okay, people with depression, anxiety live normal lives. There is no such thing that if you have mental illness, you don't have a life. Okay, I'll give you some classic examples. Shah Rukh Khan has a mental illness, right? Deepika Padukone has a mental illness. These are names you all know, no? Okay, right? You all know the owner of Odell, now the owner of Embark, Otara, suffered with depression, right? I used to suffer with PTL, forgot that also, OCD, right? I used to suffer with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, right? So if somebody is fighting depression, please get professional help. There is nothing wrong with it, but humor is also, it's good. Yes, you can use humor as a coping mechanism, but it's also a cover. Okay? But if you get help, if you need, or if that your friend needs help, please get help. Let me share the screen with the numbers, and anyone who needs to write it down, you can write it down. And we can also maybe share it on the chat. Right, so there is CCC line 1333, NIMH, right? National Institute of Mental Health 1926, National Child Protection Authority 1929, Sumitrio, right? 01126966666. Melmadura is for addictions. Okay, it can be alcohol, drug related, or it can be digital, sexual, porn, anything, any addiction they deal with, right? Gambling, anything. Okay, Shanti Margam. Then this organization I highly recommend, right? Bakamono. Their organization is called Grassrooted, right? They are very good with cyberbullying, diversity. What I mean by diversity is talking to LGBT, gay, lesbian, bisexual communities, right? They're very good at handling and talking to them and helping them. Okay, I work very closely with them, right? If you are facing cyberbullying, somebody is bullying you, or threatening you with pictures or using your pictures or something, you can talk to them. Also, CERT, Computer Emergency Readiness Team, they are also into cyberbullying, cybercrime, right? Then Women and Children Bureau website, and Kalambu Empathetic Learners. So I will also share this on the chat. Yeah. Right. So I shared all those numbers also on the chat. Okay. There will be the next question.
Okay, sir. The next question is how to help others and ourselves to get over from inappropriate addictions.
Right, very good question. Again, get professional help because that's a little bit of a long subject, facing addictions. So you can talk to that organization called Melmathura. I gave the number there. They're also 100% confidential, right? And you can tell them where you're from, and maybe they will get help for you. But they deal with all kinds of addictions. Like I said, digital, drug, alcohol, sexual, porn, even shopping, eating, exercise, all sorts of gambling, all sorts of addictions they deal. So you can get help from them. That's a good organization. Because sometimes it is difficult to get over addictions alone. You need help. Right? You need help. So talk to these organizations. Yes.
Okay, sir. What's the best advice to give someone who's in a toxic relationship that affects his mental health?
That's a very difficult question. That's a very difficult question. Because sometimes if he or she is in a relationship where it is harming to her or him, you first need to take care of yourself. Right? You need to first take care of yourself. Because I told you, your safety is number one. They might even threaten suicide. They say, if you leave me, I'll end my life. Or right? But you need to safeguard yourself first. So talk to someone you trust. Right? Talk to someone you trust and see what needs to be done. Because being in that relationship is not going to be helpful for you or for that person in the long run. Even if that person is threatening their own life, you need to look after yourself first. Okay, there we go.
Okay, sir. How to deal with side effects caused by antidepressants?
Okay, that's a little clinical question. Right now, I might not be able to tell on that. But if you're someone you know, if you're taking antidepressants, and if it is having side effects for you, then you need to talk to the person who's prescribing you the medicine and tell them that there are side effects, so that they can either give you a different medicine or to change the medicine and to treat the side effect. I'm sorry, I'm not qualified to answer that, but that is what normally would happen. Next question.
Okay. I want to help someone in need, but when they tell their problems with me, I get upset and stressed. What should I do?
Okay, that's what I said. Now this is easier said than done, but always keep their problem on that side. Don't. What happens is, as humans, right? We want to help people, and what we do is we take their weight onto our shoulder. Right? We take that weight onto our shoulder and onto our head. Right? But keep it on that side. I will help that person on my side of the border, keep that person on their side of the border, and then you help them. The moment you make their problem my problem, their story my story, then you feel stressed. That's a good question, like all the other questions. Those are very good questions, but always remember to keep their problem with them and their story with them. right? And you're not responsible. Remember that you are not responsible. You are just there to support. And if you think that this is affecting you even further after practicing this, then best is to avoid too many situations. Right? Avoid too many situations. I'm not saying don't listen to anybody's problems at all, but avoid listening to everybody's problems. Thank you.
Okay, sir. The last question is, I don't have any exam stress, but I want to dedicate for my studies. What should I do?
Like I said before, even for exam stress or normally, right? Even for me, even what I do is I plan out. Right? I have 150 things happening, right? Because I'm involved with I'm involved with my OBU. I'm involved with my church. I'm involved with CCC. I have my business, right? I have in our business we have 2-3 things happening, right? In different areas. I need to look at those, right? Then I have home situation. I have my studies. So all that, right? I feel stress. I sometimes feel anxiety, but I plan it out. I sometimes in between I have to do speaking engagements like this. This whole 2-3 weeks I'm very busy with speaking engagements. Right? I have to do lectures. I have to teach. All that, plan it out. It's very easy. You have 24 hours. Keep 8 hours for sleep. Very important. I love my sleep. I love my sleep. 8 hours for sleep. And plan the balance. 16 hours. Right? Here and there, if you need to steal a little couple of hours from the 8, maybe 2 hours maximum. Right? Don't stay awake for more than you need to at least sleep for 6 hours. Some say, okay, put your legs in the bucket and with water and study and all. I don't believe in that. I believe in planning and execution. If you don't plan, right, you're definitely going to fail. Not just exams, even in other things of your life. Okay.
Okay.
Very good questions.
Yes. So that's the end of the Q&A session. And thank you, sir, for providing very detailed answers to the questions. Over to you, Hadri.
Thank you, Devmita. And we have come to the last part of today's webinar. And I invite Sanjala to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Hasini. Good evening, everyone. I'm considering my great pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks before you. First of all, I would like to pay my sincere gratitude to today's speaker, Mr. Ranil Thilakarathne, manager of CC Land, who duly accepted our invitation and delivered an remarkable session in role of counsel. Then I'd specially thank Mr. Srila De Silva, Assistant Chief Commissioner, Rover and IT of Sri Lanka, Scout Association, as well as Dr. Asanka Ariava, National Headquarters Commissioner, who was the founder of a Scout Master of Ethugalpura Pioneers District Rover, for the immense guidance and inspiration you provide us to make this seminar a success. I'd also like to extend my thanks to District Commissioner of Kurunegala District Scout Association, Mr. U.B. Disanayake, and Assistant District Commissioner, Rover, Mr. Kulathiraka Vijayasundara, for their well wishes. I convey my heartiest gratitude to our beloved Rover Scout Master of Ethugalpura Pioneers District Rover, Mr. Chanaka Halagola, as well as Rover Mistress of Ethugalpura Pioneers Girls Rover, Miss E.W. Aryamara, for your guidance and support for us in organizing this webinar. It's a great fault of me if I forget my dear fellow Rover Scouts of Ethugalpura Pioneers District Rover who were behind the scenes. Without your courage and dedication, there won't be any successful webinar like this. Last but not least, I'd like to thank all of participation who joined this webinar a success. I hope you could get a better knowledge to counseling from today's session. And I hope you be with us for the rest of the webinar with us. Thank you. Over to Hassan.
Thank you.
Sorry, Hasini, just before we finish.
Okay, sir.
Once again, thank you everyone for having me and for organizing this very good program. Also, I want to thank Sanjula for inviting me for this event, because it's very good to see young people doing things like this, and I think it's a real blessing. So good luck and all the best in everything you all do. I have also shared my a link. If you all need to talk or ask anything, you all can talk.
Thank you, sir. I kindly request you all to switch on your cameras to keep a record of today's webinar. Thank you. One last thing, a kind reminder for you all to follow and like our official Facebook page of the Ethugalpura Pioneers District Rover Crew to stay connected with us. Thank you to all those who joined with us today, and we were thrilled by the attendance we had. Also, we look forward to your participation in our tomorrow webinar on first aid skills. Stay safe and good night.